Listen up, Cobb. I got something important to tell you.
I'm all ears.
Hola, Geek fans! Welcome back. It's that time again. It's 4:30. It's Friday. We're shooting at the luxurious Goodrich Studios International, and this is Geeks at the Movies. I'll be your host today. My name is Shane Goodrich, and joining me, as always, is our illustrious lead writer, the Mr. Jacob Desitels.
What's going on, guys?
Jacob, I thought you were going to say more stuff from now on.
Well, I'm going to change it up.
Change it up to changing it back.
Every now and then, yeah.
Anyways, Geek fans, we got a lot on the plate today. We got the second trailer of Marvel's Daredevil. We got more talk about Captain America Civil War. So much great geek stuff. Let's get right to it. The second full trailer for the second season of Marvel's Daredevil has been released. Jacob, this one focused on Elektra. The first trailer focused on the Punisher. What did you think?
I thought this was a good trailer. I didn't like it as much as the Punisher one, but I did like seeing more of the character of Elektra, because she's been kind of shrouded in mystery, and along with the marketing for so far. But so we got to see plenty of her. We got to see her fighting, being the ninja assassin that we know her as in the comics, and we get a little bit of a introduction to the Hand in this trailer too. He's like, they're like the every superhero needs to have an organization that they go up against.
Oh God, like the League of Assassins?
Yes, that's exactly what they are, but they're basically the League of Assassins, except they're ninjas, and it's
Marvel's League of Assassins.
Yes, and they set them up in season 1 with Stick, his master. He was like working for them. I think that's what they alluded to, at least.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was about. So this was about the Hand.
Yes, and I think that's also going to lead a little bit into Iron Fist, who we're going to get eventually after Luke Cage gets his own series. But I'm still excited for season 2 of Daredevil. I can't wait for it to come out.
I'm excited about season 2 of Daredevil, but this trailer was definitely, to me, a step down from the Punisher one. I found it to be just much more generic.
Yeah.
This Elektra character is not exciting me very much.
Yeah.
It sounds like a kind of a little bit of generic. I mean, were they lovers in the past? And they had this creepy relationship, and she's a fighter and she's sexy.
Yeah.
I don't find that very compelling, Cobb.
I think because the fact why she wasn't in the marketing until now was because she doesn't have a very big role. I think that's why. But they decided to give her own trailer to set up the character for people who don't know who she is, because everyone wants to forget that awful Jennifer Garner Elektra movie came out in like 2004 or something like that. But they also want to forget the Ben Affleck.
Whoa!
Yeah. But and I think she'll have it's going to be a medium-sized role.
But didn't you feel like you're watching it and it's like, I kind of seen this before?
Yeah.
And to me, it felt too generic for Daredevil.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like Arrow and Black Canary.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like the generic kind of male-female. Oh, they love interest and they're fighting together relationship.
Yeah. At least they cast her correctly, because she's a Greek character in the comics.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
And they actually referenced her in season 1 when it was a flashback when Matt and Foggy are in college, and he's like, oh yeah, how's it going with that Greek girl that you met? Yeah.
Ooh.
So they reference her in that. Now they're actually bringing her in, and you're probably gonna get more flashbacks of them together when they were younger too. So I'm excited for that.
So I'm still mostly excited though for Punisher.
Yes.
After seeing the 2 trailers, that's what I'm coming to season 2 for. This stuff with the Hand, the stuff with Elektra, it's a little generic superhero for me. I'm not as interested in that. The Punisher is this brutal dude going around killing people. That sounds cool. Yeah. The guy they cast as the Punisher, Shane from The Walking Dead, mind blowing.
Yes.
This actually comes out pretty soon, right? In a couple weeks we got Daredevil.
Yeah, it comes out the weekend that. It comes out the week that Batman v Superman.
Oh yeah, it's like 5 days ahead or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Oh god, there's gonna be so much epicness. Stay tuned for Geeks of the Movies. We're gonna review Daredevil Season 2 as soon as we can manage to binge watch it. I think it's 13 episodes.
Yeah, 13 is
So much awesomeness. Let's move on to item number 2. Speaking of Daredevil, a report from Deadline has come out saying that Daredevil showrunner Stephen D. Knight has been set to direct Pacific Rim 2. But there's been no word as to how involved, if at all, Guillermo del Toro will be. So, he was the original director, correct?
Yes. He created this whole concept, basically.
He created the whole concept of giant robots and monsters fighting.
Yes, yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But there's a whole thing going on that he wanted to make Pacific Rim 2, but the budget was too high, and Pacific Rim didn't make enough money for the studios to want to spend all the money on the second one.
Guillermo del Toro wants to make a lot of things, Jacob.
Yes.
And he never makes them.
And I think the reason they got this new director, or Stephen Knight, is because Guillermo del Toro is probably like, I need to go on one of these other projects I'm attached to, so I'll be a producer, and you can actually direct the movie.
And I'll just get some money because I'm not going to do anything.
Yes. So I think that's probably the case. We'll probably get an official announcement later on that he's attached as a producer. But I think Stephen Knight would be a good job, but he hasn't directed any films, though. He's only directed episodes of TV shows. Like he directed an episode of Daredevil. He was the showrunner on that. He directed some episodes of Smallville, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He's been in the TV world for a very long time now.
I mean, being the showrunner on Daredevil, though, that's pretty good credentials, in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely, because he shows that he has a lot of talent in that, and then he was involved in all of the Spartacus stuff. He's very involved, especially in high quality television.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to comment. I haven't seen Pacific Rim. You liked it, right? You saw it. But Guillermo del Toro, this guy. Oh, ever since I saw, what was it, Pan's Labyrinth?
Yeah.
And I've seen some other things by him. Hellboy 2 specifically, where he creates these worlds that are so amazing visually. Yeah. And it pisses me off how many projects he puts his name on. Like, that would sound amazing. The Hobbit trilogy. Oh, it would have been so awesome. And then no, he's not going to do it.
Yeah, because he attaches himself to so much, and then some minor complication happens, and he's like, I can't, I need to move on to this other project. So, yeah, I think that's definitely what happened here, and maybe, Steve the Knight's like, I can work with a lower budget, because I worked with television before,
right.
So maybe that's what the studio had in mind. Who knows?
What do you think, though, as someone that likes Pacific Rim, that he won't direct it, that it could be this other guy?
I'm a little bit disappointed because, like you said, Guillermo del Toro is so good at creating these amazing giant worlds. But he already set up this world, and so having another guy come in to take it over, it won't be that much of a disconnect, I think.
Right, because the style's already there.
Yeah.
He just follows the style.
Yeah.
Alright then, let's move on to item number 3. After rumors that Warner Bros. Will be putting off Justice League Part 1 because of a reportedly lukewarm reception in press screenings of Batman v Superman, the studio has now stated that director Zack Snyder has confirmed that the film will begin filming on April 11th. They are actually going ahead with it. They're not pushing it off. Batman's not going to replace it in the lineup. Yeah. There's a lot of rumors. Jacob, tell me more.
Well, I definitely believe him. I do think that they're not... even if the rumor is true that, some press screenings didn't go as well as Warner Bros. Had planned, I do think that they weren't going to put off this huge project because they can't put off Suicide Squad, they can't put off Wonder Woman because they're already filming. So people were just assuming that they were going to put off Justice League Part 1, but I don't think so. I think they're just going to roll with the punches, see what happens after like the fan reception.
Right. Of course, we haven't seen Batman v Superman yet, but let's talk about briefly Deadpool.
Yes.
Deadpool has gotten fantastic reviews, like for the most part, but then there's like a 20% of the review population that's given it decent, pretty good, it's alright, it's not bad reviews. And those people, almost universally, aren't real big fans of the character, I've noticed.
Yeah.
The fans, the people that are really into the character, love it because it gives you what you want. Right? We had that talk. I like Deadpool. It was a good movie, but you really love Deadpool.
Yeah, I really liked it.
So the people that are watching Batman v Superman, these are just random press people. They may not be these hardcore, DC fans. They're like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's all right. Whatever. But when then it comes out and it's released, and if DC did, if not DC, if Warner Bros. Actually pulled off Batman v Superman as a fan for fan service and gave what the fans want, the movie's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Look what Deadpool did. I mean, I'm still stunned by the numbers of Deadpool the opening weekend.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening.
Yeah, I definitely think that the fan reception, or like it will be higher at first. Like even if the movie's bad, like people are going to go in and be like brave about it. And
Just like the Star Wars prequels.
And
it was so good.
And then it's gonna, if it's bad, then it's going to drop slowly.
People will go, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, bad word of mouth, everything. But if this movie is anything like Man of Steel, we're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Because if it has that style that Zack Snyder set up in that movie, that tone, everything.
It's the epic style. It's like so epic to the max. Does that have Hans Zimmer again? Hans Zimmer?
Yeah, he's there as the composer, and then they got Junkie XL to do Batman's score.
Oh man, so it's gonna be honest. It's not even epic because those elements are in place.
And then another part of the story is that a new set photo of it's like the dressing room on the set. I don't know, but it has Zack Snyder and
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, he's gonna play Aquaman in the movie. They were there on set. They took a picture, and you see some of the costumes that are made in the movie. And then, way in the corner, you see the Flash costume. You can't really see that much detail.
Yeah,
yeah, you can just see the head of it. But it's excited to see know that he's going to be in the movie.
Oh yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the Flash because we already have a Flash TV show. Mm-hmm. We already have that character very well established. He's popular. He's well liked. I actually think it's one of the better comic book TV series out there. There's a lot of comic book series. Some of the other DC properties like Arrow. League of Legends or whatever was that called?
Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow. I'm lukewarm on. I'm not a big fan of. But Flash is one of the better ones. So what are they gonna do? How are they gonna change his character for the movies, or are they not even gonna bother? It's just gonna be a similar character.
I think because of that, it's a very smart move to put him in Justice League first and then give him his own movie. Because people can warm up to the character.
Oh right, the different version of Flash.
Yeah. And then spin him off in his own movie. But I think they're gonna they're gonna have to make him different somehow. Give him a little bit of a different personality, maybe. It's not gonna change his powers, obviously. But
that would be so stupid.
But his there was some concept art that got released during that big CW DC thing that happened where they showed the Wonder Woman footage, everything. Where they showed some Flash concept art and. His suit looked very interesting because it had different lightning bolts and lightning was coming out of those different lines in his suit. So he's going to be I think it's going to be a very visually interesting character at least.
Well, I'm excited to see him because what we've seen of the Flash is on a small budget.
Yeah.
I mean, the Flash TV show is.
Yeah.
Some of the special effects are a little wonky.
Yes.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see the Flash with a big budget.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited! I'm excited in the same way that Superman with a big budget. For a year, a big budget and the technology. Because I think those original Superman films from the 70s are probably considered big budget movies at the time, but they didn't have the technology to pull it off. But seeing Superman with a big budget and the technology actually made me like the character because you could really bring him to life.
Yeah.
The Flash, I want to see that too, the same way. Oh, it's going to be cool.
Yes, I'm just excited to see all these characters on screen live action for the first time.
Oh, this is going to be it's just too epic to imagine. Let's now move on to item number 4. New set videos and photos from the set of Doctor Strange in London have leaked online, giving us a look at Benedict Cumberbatch in action as Doctor Strange. So there was this footage released. It's it's 20 minutes of nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Some dude from his balcony is using his iPhone.
And he obviously knows very little about what he's talking about.
Yeah. Oh.
He's like Benedict Cumberbatch and I think he called Chiwetel Ejiofor Don Cheadle. I don't know how to say his name. Is that the actor? But aside from that,
so shaky.
Yes, I know. And it was just 20 minutes of
nothing.
He was just talking for the entire time, and then 13 minutes in, it's oh look, there's Benedict Cumberbatch, and then they start the scene. he runs up to this body on the ground, and then they go cut, and that's it. That's it. Like
it made the rounds and viral. Oh my god! An epic video of nothing happening.
And the main thing was you get to see both Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, Chiwetel Ejiofor as Baron Mordo in their costumes, running around in the city
From an extreme distance with shaky camera.
Yes. but people are saying that the body on the ground, like they have like broken glass around him and everything. People are saying that might be the ancient one in it, and like for some reason he's in the city because in the video he states that he knew this much at least, that it was they were filming in London, but it was made to look like it was New York City.
Okay.
So that's what they were filming, and so maybe something happens to the Ancient One, gets thrown out a window, Doctor Strange runs up to him, and that's all the scene is. I don't know. But
this was lame, Jacob.
Yes, I just like how Benedict Cumberbatch looks as the character, but we already got to see that in a professional photo.
He looks great. A lot of these shaky cam videos released of set footage from way away. It just I don't like the way
Yeah, I know. It was just a very big viral thing because everyone's talking about it, but it's
nothing happens.
Yes,
it's so boring.
Yeah, it really
it's so tedious. Anyways, let's move on to something a little more exciting. Item number 5. New photos for Captain America Civil War have been released, along with an official confirmation of Martin Freeman's character being Everett Ross, a character very close to the mythology of Black Panther. Jacob, talk to me.
Alright, well, let's start with the pictures. They're pretty standard character pictures. We got to see a closer look of Crossbones. I like his look. He's very interesting. Menacing character.
Menacing,
Yeah,
medium menacing.
We get to see a cool shot of Scarlet Witch using her powers. We've already seen
Cool
that.
shot, whatever, the usual.
And then we get to see another thing of Captain America and Iron Man facing off. But it was a more interesting thing. I think it was from this. It was the cover from this issue of Empire that this was released through. It showed. You remember? You read Civil War.
Yes, I did.
The cover of it, or of one of the issues at least, was Captain America holding up his shield and Iron Man like blasting his thing out. They actually redid that in live action for this cover. It looked very interesting, I thought. But let's move on to the Everett Ross character. I think it's interesting. He's pretty much what everyone thought this character was going to be, because he's basically like Black Panther's political advisor. Kind of he in the
Black Panther hired Bilbo Baggins as a political advisor.
Yes, that's right. in the comics, he gets assigned to be his it's just a person to give him political advice, bring him places,
Oh
but,
man.
So
I want to see him dressed up as a hobbit doing that. I want to see him as a hobbit with smoking a pipe.
That reminds me of a sketch they did where they had Bilbo Baggins, because Martin Freeman was in the UK version of The Office.
Yep.
So they brought him into the American version of The Office, but as Bilbo Baggins. It was a good skit.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But that's basically what I thought he was going to be too, because we thought he was going to be a senator working against the bill. He's basically just a normal human being.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to be some superhero or crazy supervillain or anything like that.
I read this articles that what people were thinking he was going to be. Some people were saying crazy stuff like Norman Osborn and everything like that.
What?
He's a good actor. I think he could definitely play roles like that, but they're not interested in having him be anything like that.
No, yeah, he usually plays a mild-mannered character, down to earth.
I think how Coulson was kind of he was sort of a side character for you in the Iron Man movies and Thor and everything. I think he's going to be that character for Black Panther when the Black Panther movie comes around.
And will he also be killed off in a Black Panther movie only to appear in S.H.I.E.L.D. and never mentioned again?
Yes.
Will that also happen?
Most likely. But that also reminds me, we're also going to see Andy Serkis back in the Black Panther movie as Claw. I can't remember what his full name is, but
it's Ulysses Claw.
yeah, Ulysses Claw.
Ulysses Claw, I got it.
So we're gonna get to see Gollum and Bilbo Baggins back on screen together.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, just wanted to make that Kevin Bacon type connection.
Oh yeah, you know how we do here. Let's move on to item number 6. Producer Roy Lee has revealed that the upcoming adaptation of Stephen King's It will begin filming this year, with the adaptation being split into 2 R-rated movies.
Okay, yeah, I'll take this here. I'm the big Stephen King fan here. I've read it. It was a very, very long, over 1,000 pages book that got turned into a movie already back in the 80s. I haven't seen the movie though, but Pennywise the Clown, because of that movie, he's just a classic movie villain. And but much like the Dark Tower movies, this is another Stephen King adaptation that they've struggled to get off the ground. Because they already had a director, I think his name is Cary Fukunaga. He did the first season of True Detective, which was very good. They should have gotten back to do season 2 of True Detective, because that just wasn't good at all. But but then he left, and he made a very interesting casting decision for it. Yeah, I can't remember the actor's name, but he was the kid in, he's not really a kid, he's like a teenager in We Are the Millers, and he was in the first Maze Runner movie. And then you think that it's really weird casting, but then you look at his smile and it's like, yeah, he could play Pennywise the Clown, definitely. So I'm wondering if they're going to have that
That cash choice go forward. You can stick with it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they have a concrete director yet to take this over. But if he's saying it's filming this year, well, I'll believe him, because that when producers say things are going to happen, they always happen, right, Shane?
Oh, Jacob, I have not much to say about this. Because the producer said, though, it will obviously happen, because just like you said, that's how it works. Just like when Guillermo del Toro says he's going to do it, he's going to do it. Yeah. Just how it happens. This is how it works in Hollywood. When there's a date set, a release date, that release date is going to be adhered to. Yeah. They're going to honor that release date. It's just how it works. Yeah. It's just how it works.
Oh, I think Guillermo del Toro is actually attached to this too.
Guillermo del Toro, he's attached to everything. Yeah. All right, then let's move on to item number 7. Ooh, in the same interview, Roy Lee also talked about the upcoming Dungeons and Dragons movie, stating that it would be like Guardians of the Galaxy in a Tolkien-like universe. Jacob, I saw the original Dungeons and Dragons movie. And I played Dungeons and Dragons. I like Dungeons and Dragons. I like fantasy. I love Lord of the Rings. We're starting our reviews of all the original trilogy and The Hobbit. You can check that out online. We got the first one up there, The Hobbit, The Unexpected Journey. So I love classic fantasy, medieval fantasy, but I'm not excited about this. And his description makes me less excited. Yeah. Because it makes it sound like the original Dungeons and Dragons was so fucking horrible.
Which is very campy.
Right, yeah, that's what it sounds like. Guardians of the Galaxy style is one of the things I'm so amazed about it is that I liked it. Because it's the exact style I don't like. It's that constant one-liner. Things aren't taken seriously the vast majority of the time. But they do it so well, and they get the one-liners right. Yeah. But that style, generally speaking, I don't like. Yeah. Because I just like,
I don't know much about Dungeons and Dragons, but I do think that they can have fun with it, but they need to make it a serious tone.
Right.
They need to have a serious tone going on here. And if you're saying that it's going to be like Guardians of the Galaxy just in a fantasy realm, that doesn't really sound like that's what they're going for.
See, I can see why they would want to take this approach, because they want to make it sort of like when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. So when you got a bunch of geeks, sitting around the table eating pizza, playing Dungeons and Dragons, I guess one of the ultimate geek things. We're imagining that we're in this fantasy universe just by talking, and we're rolling die, and I'm a dwarf and I'm an elf, and it's kind of ridiculous, right? If you watch people playing Dungeons and Dragons, if you watch it, you're not involved. It's completely absurd to watch. Yeah. Completely absurd to watch. But in my mind, when I'm playing that game, I'm imagining in my mind this cool, epic world that I'm in. It seems ridiculous from the outside, but in my mind's eye, it's really awesome and epic. So when I have a movie, I don't want it to focus on the silliness of the people interacting and the eating greasy pizza and shit. I don't want it to focus on that aspect. I want it to focus on the imagination, the world building. Like, what is this that we're thinking about?
Yeah.
And bring that to life.
And they can still definitely, you know, have fun with it and make it be like this big fantasy epic.
Right. I mean,
but it needs to have more of a. It can't be this really campy tone like the first movie.
No, the first. Right. They're gonna have a group of adventurers because that's what Dungeons and Dragons is, and they go on an adventure, and they can have laughs and whatnot and be friendly, and that's fine. But I don't need campiness with the ridiculous villains like in the first movie. I don't need every scene that happens. Oh, they find some zany way to get out of it. No, it has to be grounded in some sense.
Yeah, you need Jeremy Irons. Just was
hamming it up.
Yeah,
hamming it up. Oh my god. Oh, that movie's so. Actually, the movie's so bad. It's actually one of those movies that's it's actually worth watching because it's so bad it's good.
I want to watch it just because of Shane's description of it.
It's laughably stupid.
Yeah.
It's almost like they I mean maybe they did, I don't know. It's just so bad. It's like Batman, that the 60s TV show. It's like they actually knew it was campy then. They knew that. Did they know this about Dungeons and Dragons? So, watch it, Jacob. You should see it.
The director of the movie, he was actually a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan that actually clouded his judgment on how to make this movie. So he just did whatever he wanted to.
I didn't know that.
He didn't focus on the correct creative decisions to make.
No, you're right. That makes sense to me. So sometimes people that are big fans of something, they don't think about anyone else watching it. They're like, oh, this thing is cool. This is cool. This is cool. Like, dude, you need to take a broader view of what's happening here. This is not a good movie. It's not a good piece of fiction. This is a mess.
Yeah.
In that Dungeons and Dragons movie, it did throw a lot of fan service in there. It had all the classic characters, the beholders and the elves, and it had a lot of that stuff in there, right? So. But it didn't have any good movie making sense about it. It didn't have a good story. It was a mess. It was a hot mess.
Yes, I will definitely watch it when I get around to when I feel like watching a piece of trash.
It's horrific. Let us now move on to the part of the show that we have to call Geek Talk.
Yeah.
What are we talking about this week, Jacob?
Yeah, you can't read it.
I can't read it.
But this week we're talking about the difference between film and digital filmmaking. So, how about you start off?
All right, Jacob. Well, let me tell you a little bit about working with film. It sucks. So I remember, I'm going to relate this for photography, and then I'm going to relate it to videography. So, like a decade ago or whatever, I had some budding interest in being a photographer. I had some interest in that. At the time, the entry barrier for being like a videographer was really, really high. Because again, the cost of film is outrageous.
Yeah.
The entry barrier for photography was less so. I got into that, and it was such a pain in the ass. You'd be very careful with your shots. Oh, because you could. It was annoying. Anyway, and that never really went anywhere. Flash forward 10 years later, and now we're doing this. And in addition to this, I also have another show. In addition to that, I also I make video stuff for the Wyndham Textile History Museum in Willamette, Connecticut. So, I'm trying to get my videography skills off the ground, and of course I use digital. And it just makes the process so much easier and cheaper. I can easily record stuff, edit, fix it. Back in the day when you had film, let's say 30 years ago you had film. Editing was such a difficult process. You literally had to cut the film and cut, tape it. It's a nightmare to edit. Now with non-linear editors, which is what they use nowadays in modern filmmaking, like what I use for making this show, it's just so much easier. Cut, paste, oh no, copy that. And for me, the difference between film and digital, it makes the creative process easier, cheaper, and lowers the barrier to entry. There's these video files. I don't know what you call them, these things, like these classic cinema people, like what's that director you like? Directs
Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
And they're obsessed with film, and it makes no sense in my opinion.
Yeah.
Nowadays, film and digital, they don't. You can't tell. I can tell the difference. No, with the very best digital cameras, you can make them look like you can make them look like 35 millimeter. You can make them look like 70 millimeter. You can adjust, parameters within the digital workspace to make it look like however you want. Using film like Quentin Tarantino did for The Hateful Eight, to me was just ridiculous. It's just a waste of money.
And you're going to convert it to digital anyways.
Right.
It doesn't...
It's not even like he wasn't... If Quentin Tarantino decided to make a film like they really used to make films, where he cut the film and taped it and do that I'd respect him for. But this is pretend, because he shoots it on the film, and then he immediately converts it to digital, and then he does all his editing in digital.
Yeah.
It's silly to me.
The whole debate with this, it doesn't really make any sense to me, because people are trying to preserve film, but you're just like playing with it,
right?
And then converting it to digital later on. So, and another really big director is who does this is Christopher Nolan. He loves film. Always talks about preserving and everything, but his films are so like CGI heavy. He's definitely a person that converts to digital and then does all that editing.
They all do it. There are no major films today made using the traditional method because it's ridiculous using that method because it's very time consuming.
Yes.
And it's very, and the editing process is very limited.
Yeah.
Like the effects I can use just really quickly, like say a basic fade from one shot to another. I can do so many things with that basic fade so easily, but with the traditional process of just putting one piece of film over the other to create that fade, it's just you're much more limited. Same with photography. Like there are effects you can do in the darkroom with photography, where you can make things blurry. You can make things different tinted colors. You can even do some mild, what you might call like photoshopping, in the darkroom. But it's very limited. It's very difficult, and in terms of photography in the darkroom, it's also potentially dangerous. All those chemicals. You don't have to deal with that anymore. I respect somebody that wants to keep using film and they actually go through the whole process, like photographers, they're using film, they're using the darkroom, or, which I'm not sure if there's any people with making films doing this, but there probably are some, they're doing it the traditional way. I'm going to get like a 70 millimeter film, I'm going to film, and then I'm going to cut it up. That's interesting because you're preserving, there's an element of preserving history there. This fake preserving of film, where it's like, well, we want to keep film tradition going. You're not doing that. You're just adding more cost to your film for no reason. You're just going to convert it to digital anyway.
And another thing about digital is that you can actually see what you're filming. Because in film, you can't. You're just looking with your eyes.
Yes.
Like right now, we're watching ourselves in the camera. We can see what we're doing. So that's another really big thing. It doesn't really make any sense. Digital is just so much cheaper and easier to use. And another thing, I have to mention Star Wars at one point in the show, as always.
The usual.
J.J. Abrams shot The Force Awakens on film, and I think there's a report going around that they're going to continue doing that. But you know why? Because Disney can, because they have massive amounts of money.
Right.
They can afford to do it.
The budget is already film is expensive. But when you have a $200 million budget, it's irrelevant at that point.
Yes. So you can just shoot anything on film, but you can also shoot anything on digital. It doesn't really matter. Right.
For the biggest thing for me as someone that's trying to do stuff like this show and other projects I have is the cost of entry. The barrier 10 years ago or more when I was more forced to rely on film. It was astronomical. You have connections. It was so difficult to do.
Yeah.
Now, if you buy yourself a half decent digital camera, you learn how to do some editing. You can actually do real stuff right away. That's the best part of it. The technology has lowered the barrier of entry for people.
Yeah. With digital, anyone can be a filmmaker now.
It's great, and some pretentious people. They hate that. They hate that about technology. They hate some authors. They hate how you can self-publish your books now. They hate how you can self-make your own movies. Like, it used to be an art form only for certain people. It's like this is that elitist attitude that I can't stand.
You know why it's a good thing? Like, people can actually get their names out easier. But it won't matter if their product isn't good.
Right? Yeah. It just makes it easier for people to try it.
Yeah.
It's still the actual getting good at it and doing all that. the creative process, that hasn't changed. That's always been the thing that's number one.
Yeah.
That's the technical stuff. It's like, well, can you make a good movie? Can you make a good this? Can you make a good that? This just removes those tedious aspects.
Yeah.
Which, who cares about those anyway?
Yeah, I know. I have a certain amount of respect for people like Quentin Tarantino when they do their like special little showings of like the hip plate in 70mm, because he actually like went out and got the lenses that were shot using during the Titanic, everything. But it's like a special little thing like for them in particular.
If you want to do it, go ahead. I'm not bashing people who want to do that. I find it a little odd. I'm not saying, well, if Disney wants to pay up the money to get filmed for Star Wars, whatever.
Yeah, it as long as they're like the cool little projects, I'll be cool with it as long as you stop saying like you need to preserve film and like get rid of digital
and bashing digital for no reason. Like sometimes it's just that elitist attitude.
Yeah.
Oh, anyone can use digital. It's great.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jacob, let us move on now to the part of the show that we call Old School. This is where we talk about any movie over 10 years old. Jacob, what are we talking about this week?
Today we're talking about Braveheart. So this movie I haven't seen in a long time, but
God!
I also hadn't seen it for a very long time. Like I think I was probably like 18 the first time I saw it, and like this is one of those movies where everyone's like, "Oh, you gotta see Braveheart!" Like it's one of Mel Gibson's great things. Like yes, and it is basically like it's a big Scottish, right?
Scottish epic.
Yeah, so you know the plot better than I do, right? So tell them about it.
Okay, so Mel Gibson plays. Oh man, Wallace. He plays a Scottish rebel. So this is back there in the time when the English and the Scottish, they're not too happy with each other. The English lords are imposing their will on the Scots. So Mel Gibson, who I can't now recall what person he plays, he gets together a band of Scottish rebels to
William Wallace.
William Wallace, okay, famous character in history, to fight the English oppressors. Eventually, of course, that movie has a tragic ending. William Wallace is captured. They kind of throw an afterthought about some victory the Scots had afterward, but who cares about that? So it's this big epic where William Wallace gathers these bands of rebels, these Scottish people together. They have some victories against the British, against the English, but eventually they're overcome by the English and their numbers and their power and their organization. And it is, it's this big epic movie. And that, there's a lot of epic music, big rousing speeches from Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
I gotta say, if you're a fan of history, it's total garbage. All the costumes are nonsense. Everything that happens is ridiculous. The way they live, the way the Scottish people actually live, the buildings are all nonsense. I mean, this is one of those movies where they consistently get everything wrong. Not just the story, not just the costumes, not just the music, like with some of the bagpipes that didn't even exist. Not just the buildings. I mean, just everything. This is just hideously inaccurate. Like it's basically fantasy. That's how inaccurate it is.
Well, maybe that's why I liked it, because I don't really care about the inaccuracies because I don't really know that much about.
I do.
I'm not a huge.
And they don't even make sense. Those classic inaccuracies. See, the story inaccuracies are for an artistic reason.
Yeah.
But the fact that they were so lazy about like the costuming and the buildings and the set piece, I'm like, you could have just hired a story. You could be like, if you just do that and that, whatever. Talk, Jacob.
I just like the the acting and the story beats of it. His famous speech at the end of the movie, and at the end of the movie itself, I didn't know how it ended. I don't know, like I said, I don't know much about history, so I didn't know what the fate of the character was, and I thought that was a very, it was a very well acted scene, first of all. It was a very important part of the story to tell, so I liked, everything, like the action and everything. So I like this movie, but there's a movie that you like more, right?
Rob Roy came out the same year, and I remember watching Siskel and Ebert at the movies, and they were reviewing Rob Roy, and well, during the review of Rob Roy, they started bashing Braveheart, and they're like, everyone keeps paying attention to Braveheart, but Rob Roy is the real Scottish epic you should watch this year, and I much prefer Rob Roy. Also, starring a Scottish rebel, Robert Roy McGregor, who's gone down in history. He's like a legend, just like William Wallace. His actual things they did and how it's portrayed, who really knows? He's part myth, part historical character. But I much preferred that movie as a Scottish epic. And that was a much smaller scale movie. It was one man's fight for honor, really. Well, with this movie, Braveheart, it's the whole nation, the whole Scottish people are fighting the English. Well, here's just one. I mean, he is part of a band of Scots, but it's really just his fight against an English overlord and an oppressor. It's a smaller movie, smaller budget, but I just thought it was just much better in terms of acting. I thought the acting was astonishing, much better in terms of story, pacing. And as a history buff, the story's all made up and nonsense. The actual setting is so good. They do a fantastic job on the costumes, on the dialogue, on how they live. It's like they bring that time period to life. Whereas here, they don't bring the Middle Ages to life. They bring, I don't know what they bring to life, but it's nothing like how it looked or was.
I think that movie was actually the first movie that we did in our Shane and Jacob watch segments. We recommended each other movies. He recommended me that. And I definitely liked the movie. It was definitely a good, like you said, it has a lot of historical accuracies.
Right. I mean, I love seeing the wigs and the crazy, flamboyant costumes, actually how they were.
Yeah, and the fight scenes, they were realistic.
Yes.
But I still liked Braveheart better. Maybe it's because it was made more
it's for mass audiences, Braveheart.
Yeah.
Braveheart is for the generic movie fan. I want to go to the movies and have a good time, and here's a big epic.
Yeah.
That's what Braveheart is. Rob Roy is a lot different. I mean, one of the things I like about Rob Roy so much is just the nuances of the dialogue. Like John Hurt is in the movie playing this English nobleman. And I just like his dialogue. We'll say with Rob Roy when he's talking to him, when he was talking to different people, they have great dialogue. It's very nuanced. Sometimes it could be you could be kind of bored by it, well, I don't know, it's just a bunch of noblemen talking. But I like it. It's to me, it's smart, intelligent, it's interesting. But it isn't that big epic that people are gonna watch.
Yeah, that's probably why I liked Braveheart more, because it was made more as a giant epic.
Right. It's just you don't need to think as much about Braveheart.
Yeah.
Just it's well made. I'm not saying it's a dumb movie. It's a well made. It's good acting, but it is just a big action film to me in a sense, because some of these other elements, these historical elements, they distracted through the movie for me, and they didn't serve an artistic purpose. That was my problem. We talked about another movie called Elizabeth with Cate Blanchett, which again, like Braveheart, every single aspect of the movie, from costuming to music to dialogue, it's all nonsense. It's stylized, Elizabethan England. This is stylized medieval Scotland, you could say. But those choices in Elizabeth, I felt like it made sense. There was an artistic reason for it. And there are some changes here in Braveheart where they obviously did it for artistic reasons. The heavy use of the bagpipes and the kilts, when at that time period the Scots weren't wearing the kilts or had all this heavy use of bagpipes in their culture. But people associate that with Scottish people. So it'd been kind of weird. Because really at the time the Scots would have been very similar to the English in style of living. But they kind of differentiate them a lot. But they wouldn't have been so much, and that I can see, right? I can see some of those elements artistically, but other elements, it's just random shit. Wait, they didn't use that kind of weapon, and no one even cares. No one even noticed if they used one or the other, or the building. It's why is that building doesn't make any sense? They just made that building up. And I know it's all to other people that are listening to this are going, who cares about that? But if you're interested in history like me, you do. Just if you're interested in any particular thing and you see it represented on film and it's not accurate, you go, that's my thing. And they did it wrong. That sucks.
Yeah, it happens a lot with movies where they're science fiction, but they're trying to be realistic at the same time.
Oh, science people get pissed off at it. Bad science.
But it kind of makes me mad when people get mad at films like Star Wars, where it's that couldn't happen.
Well, see, that's fantasy, so that's a different thing.
Yeah, but still people get mad at it sometimes.
Because some people think of Star Wars as sci-fi, but it's not. It's fantasy.
Yeah. So, but like you said, this movie it's very, it is kind of like a fantasy type movie. So if you're fans like Lord of the Rings and movies like that, I would recommend seeing this movie. It has a lot of people with big muscles and swords fighting each other. You know, all that great stuff.
And it's got a lot of blood and violence and
Yes.
all that great stuff you love.
Slaughtering.
So much slaughtering. Anyways, Jacob, sadly, we've now come to the end of Geeks at the Movies today. It's a very, very sad time for us. I'm going to break down and cry afterwards, but I'm going to hold it together right now. Jacob, tell them stuff about us.
You can find more of our content on our YouTube channel at Geeks at the Movies. You can also find us, you can like us on Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter at Geeks at the Movie. Drop the S.
You can also email us, geeksatthemovies.ct@gmail.com. Anyways, we want to hear from you. We're always getting more guest geek segments. Check out all our new segments that we're coming out with. Always doing more stuff. Anyways, my name is Shane Goodrich. This is
Jacob Destatells.
and we've been Geeks at the Movies.
Puzzles! Puzzles! We do anything very outrageous. Puzzles! Yeah, that's right. Look at that look. Oh, you're so pretty. You got a little gunk in your eye, you got a little slap in your eye. The lipstick that I'll do later. Ooh, nice bees, nice fancy bees. This is